Hey guys, it's Sue with Rage and Apathy, and today we are going to take a look at Contour, which is from Mariner Software. And if you're familiar with Mariner Software, they do a lot of writing apps, a lot of screenwriting apps, things like that. So they're not really a music app group, although I'm, not opposed to trying to change that for them. But what we have here is Contour, and Contour is basically an outline app, and it's to outline your story, your screenplay, that kind of thing. Now, I've twisted it to my own use on this. This whole album for me is very experimental, and one of the things that I experimented with, which I've mentioned a few times, is actually writing a story to pull my lyrics from, at least in one instance, which is Stranger Than Fiction. You can see there are a lot of examples in here: American Beauty, King Kong, Liar Liar. I have some originals in here too. Jill is an original. Stranger Than Fiction, obviously. When in the Course of Human Events is an original. So I have some original ideas in here. And what I'd like you to do, or what I would like to do, is just take you on a tour through Contour and show you why this worked out really well for me. The first way it worked out really well for me is it forced me to think of a story instead of thinking of what was in my head, what was in my heart. I think as a lyricist, I know and I suspect that a great deal of other lyricists out there tend to get wrapped up in what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and we don't really write a cohesive story for other people. You come up with some clever lines on a paper, but those clever lines don't really do anything as far as propelling a storyline forward. They're just a bunch of clever lines on a piece of paper. I discovered this not too long ago. If you've followed the blog, or actually, I guess if you follow me on Twitter, I actually dug up 3 books worth of old lyrics that I wrote, and they were awful. They were just awful. Thinking of auctioning them off, but I'd probably have to pay somebody to take them. But they were just this kind of thing where they started out with this like really cool idea, but it never went anywhere. It was all just kind of wrapped in my head and rolling around one clever line to the next without it ever really going anywhere, or, a line that I thought was clever at the time. So the first thing that Contour did is it really forced me to think about the story behind my song. And I'll go through some of the basics here. Obviously, if you go through, you can start just a new idea if you have just a new kind of scratch pad idea or something that you want to add to one of your stories or screenplays, or in this case, lyrics. You can kind of scribble it in there. You can start a new screenplay, which I did right here with My Great Movie. Even though it's completely blank, it's a lot better than the lyrics I wrote before. Just standard menus. It does do some dictation. I haven't tried the dictation yet. Although I might, who knows. We have, the acts, so you can view Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. And then, of course, just some standard stuff. Now, the Contour user guide I found very, very useful, because the Contour user guide really kind of explains the philosophy behind the software, which is something really cool that Mariner Software does. They don't just tell you, hey, go use our software, it's cool. They actually say, hey, this is how it was developed. This is the philosophy behind it. These are the experiences that led to this, and this is the analysis of what's out there, specifically for screenplays. So that you have a really great idea of exactly what this software can do. So that's just one of the really cool things about them, that they give you not only the user guide, or not only the help guides that you would normally get, how do I do, but they also give you the user guide, kind of an overview. This is the philosophy, this is how we designed it. Okay. They also actually have a new thing where I have to take a look at it, but the Writer's Pub is kind of cool. I was in there a couple of times. So you have here you have this lovely timeline across the top. And the timeline across the top is really divided up into the sections of a movie. Okay, you have the overview, which would be the 4 questions and the archetypes kind of mixed together. These are the ultimate 4 questions. Who is the main character? What is the main character trying to accomplish? Who's trying to stop the main character? What happens if the main character fails? All that kind of stuff. Okay? You have the archetypes. This is divided up into orphan, wanderer, warrior, martyr. And what's one of the really cool things here is you have this stuff going on over here. This actually tells you what you're supposed to be filling in and gives you some real world movie examples so you can kind of follow through. And as you click through here, all of your examples and your definitions change. So it's actually guiding you through point by point, and that is a great thing. Now, the formula boils down to, I guess, the equivalent of an elevator speech. You know, you go to business networking group and you hear about the elevator speeches and what have you, and that's what the formula is. It's kind of the elevator speech of your screenplay or your story, or in this case, a set of lyrics. And then we have the plot points, and you can run through all of the plot points, okay? And it'll tell you what each plot point is supposed to represent and how it's supposed to break down and all of that lovely stuff. Here you can see we're supposed to go down to 12 plot points, and all 12 of those plot points are supposed to lead to the central question or the pivotal point of the story. So we move on to Act 2, where we have some more plot points, kind of a yes-no sort of thing going back and forth. And the second half of Act 2, where we transfer from the seeker to the fighter, or the wanderer to the warrior. And then finally, the climax of the story and the wind down. So it actually goes through every single point that you would need to come through and create a good, solid story. And that was very useful to me because it really broke my thinking out into something different. It took me out of kind of that lyric mode. It took me out of the kind of sing-songy, you know, you start writing stuff and you try and rhyme it, or you try and get it into a certain meter, and you just kind of write it to that, and you try and force your idea into that, and you end up with maybe some awkward phrasing. So it took me out of all of that. It took me out of the sing-song, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and forced me to write a story, and then it forced me to look for clues in that story of how that song would develop. So I didn't use contour exactly, at least in this way, at least in this specific instance. I didn't exactly use contour the way it was designed, but my overall experience with this is awesome. It was an amazing, amazing experience. And, you know, it forced me to really think about my story. It forced me to really think about what ideas I wanted to convey and how that story should move from start to finish. And, you know, whether you're writing a story, which I am, as you saw, Jill and When in the Course of Human Events and a couple others in there, you know, whether you're writing a story, whether you're writing some lyrics, whatever your creative endeavor is, you know, this is an awesome way to get you to think about how everything lines up and how things should line up. So if you have any type of creative endeavors, from lyrics to stories to screenplays to novels, whatever, definitely go get Contour. Very, very big help in this particular, and I'm sure in my other projects. This is a very, very big help in this project. So there you have it, guys. There's Contour, and I will see you probably tomorrow.